Hi, this is John Groth. I'm here with Kayla, one of our case manager paralegals, somebody who really understands the ins and outs of the personal injury world, really. So I want to welcome you, Kayla. Thank you for taking the time. I know you have a lot of clients to talk to, but I appreciate you taking this, 15 minutes or so to talk to us about what your job entails, what you do.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you for having me.
There was really very little choice that you were kind of forced to do this, but
yes, I was.
Yeah, but it's because it's a compliment, because we appreciate all that you do for our clients and for the firm. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So what's your typical day like? So you come into the office, or sometimes you work remote, but you get on your computer, and what happens?
Oh, every day it's never the same. It kind of depends on caseload, the types of cases that you're dealing with, the phone calls or voicemails that you get. But typically I come in my first hour of the day, I go through my voicemails, I go through my emails. I make sure that I responded to, sometimes I have voicemails from 2 a.m. I make sure I get back to those people. And just so that they know that I am there and I'm not just ignoring their calls at those hours. And then after that first hour, when I feel comfortable that I went through all of that and contacted everyone that I need to, I start digging into the tasks that I have in FileVine. So normally I start down at the bottom, the ones that are the most overdue or the oldest tasks. I double check, triple check, make sure we have all updates in there, whether it's health insurance follow-ups or medical records and bills that we need to follow up on. Typically, once I get through all of that, then I move on to, if files, we do have all of our medical records and bills, then I'm able to go in and add in all the bills that we have on there, make sure we have all the totals so that there's nothing that sneaks up on us later down the road or sneaks up on the client, because we don't want that to happen at all. And then once it's ready to draft the demand, then I put it into a separate list. And typically...
Well, let me stop you there, because that's a lot of stuff. Holy cow.
Yes. Yeah.
So, throughout the day, do you have the opportunity to work with other members of the firm or with attorneys, or are you just digging through your tasks the entire day?
That honestly depends on the day as well. Normally in the beginning of the week, it's more so everyone's following up on stuff that happened over the weekend or that they weren't able to get to at the end of the week. But majority of my meetings with the attorneys are at the end of the week. I do spend a lot of time talking to other paralegals, case managers. Normally we bounce ideas off of each other, get advice from each other. The attorneys are also always there when I need to contact them. So even if I can't wait until the end of the week for our meeting, I'll call them for a very quick question. They always pick up the phone. They always answer right away. So it's kind of sporadic. Some days I won't speak to the attorney. Sometimes there's pressing matters and I will speak to the attorney. So it's always, you never really know what you're walking into on a day-to-day basis.
And you're dealing with mostly pre-litigation, right? So
Correct.
This is somebody who is just involved in a car crash or a fall or some horrific accident, all the way up until the potential settlement, right?
Yes.
So what's if you could have advice for somebody who is looking at this kind of position, what are the 2 or 3 key takeaways, things that you need to be a good paralegal, a good case manager in a personal injury practice?
So I guess one thing I would say is that organizational skills and time management skills, because even just using my first hour of the day to set that to go through emails, voicemails, it's been super helpful. If you don't have the organization or the time management, your brain can get a little foggy and clouded, and then you would just overwhelm yourself. So that's one thing. I would also say, in a sense, you kind of want to be a little outgoing. Outgoing to talk to your coworkers, to be able to reach out for help, but also outgoing in a way where you want to be able to relate to the client. You want to be able to talk to the client. You don't want the phone calls. I have clients, we talk about their grandchildren's birthdays and stuff like that, rather than it just being about this drastic event that happened in their life. You want to be able to hold a conversation and have those fun conversations that also helps them change their mindset a little bit, because you really are dealing with people on the worst days and worst times of their life. So that's something as well.
Well, I've heard it said that we're attorneys and counselors. So even though it's a legal counsel, but you're using the word counseling.
Yes.
So there's a lot of listening and hopefully understanding what they're going through, and being able to get them through that tough time and be optimistic and thorough,
Yes.
and hopefully relieve some of that stress, so they aren't as stressed out, as upset as they were immediately after the crash. So hopefully with our help, we can get them through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Interesting. What, so do you have any, no, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. Do you have any interesting cases that you're working on? Is there anything that was super fascinating that you were handling? I know somebody else had talked about it was an elevator where like the roof or the top of the elevator collapsed on.
Yes. Okay. That
Any
is one that
cases
came
like
across.
that?
I've had a few. I mean, the ones that, oh my gosh, there's actually a good chunk that I think of in my head. There's some that involve, the ones that always interest me are the ones that involve semis.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, now I'm driving down the road and I had this one lady, she was just barely clipped by a semi, and it was just a total freak accident. The semi just moved over ever so slightly because, you know, sometimes stuff can happen on those crazy interstates.
Yeah.
And so that was something that I thought, her car went sideways actually, and the semi pushed her down the interstate on her driver's side. When I looked at the photos, I called her and I was like, I am so thankful that you walked away okay, because that could have been way worse. So it's crazy ones like that also make you think as you're driving down the interstate. I'm looking at the semis like, oh my gosh. But there was another one where someone was actually ran over by a car while they were sitting in the parking lot, and not even in a vehicle. They were just ran over. They ended up having a fractured skull, a broken shoulder.
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that. So that was one also where you kind of think about it and you're like, wow, they were just hanging out in the parking lot for that one.
People are being safe because it's a parking lot. You're not going very fast.
No.
So how are you that distracted, or how are you that, negligent, I guess is the word, that you would hit somebody and then drag them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Made me wonder as well.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. All right. What else? What else is, well, here, let me ask you this, because this is something that I asked some of the other staff. Who's the best dressed in the office?
Ryan Harrington, for sure. Okay, 10 out of 10.
Ryan Harrington.
I think that has to be unanimous.
I think one person said themselves, which is fine. I think it was kind of a joke too. Who has who's the most positive in the office?
The most positive? Bethany.
Bethany?
For sure. She is a breath of fresh air every time you talk to her. If you're having a bad day, talk to her.
Yes. All right. Is there anything that you would tell clients that you wish that they knew when they were giving you a call, and you're like, oh, I wish you would have done X, Y, or Z to help me do the best that I can for your case?
I always think in these cases, communication is key. So I just always tell them to communicate. I give everyone my direct line, and I say, even if I'm not in office, let's say it's after hours or before hours, anything crazy, just call, communicate, leave a voicemail. We do have an awesome way. Some people don't like phone calls, but our filing system actually offers text messaging, which is super cool as well, because a lot of people will just say, just text me during the workday. But communication is key. We want to hear from you, not even just about your injuries or your treatment. We want to know how you're doing mentally as well. It's just stuff that all helps us to also make sure that you're okay. Yeah. And then if we don't hear from you for a while, it also helps us to know that you're still out there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's something I know where you have, we had one client who changed the number, or their phone got wrecked. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't get in contact with them. Yep. And that's something that, intake has said, and they ask not only who's your emergency contact, but if we can't get a hold of you, not for an emergency reason, just for a reason because you lost your phone, who do we have permission to contact? Because that's the worst, is when somebody loses their phone or for some reason they're out of communication and you don't know what happens. Then you're thinking the worst.
Yes.
So, communication and not constant contact, but some kind of contact on a weekly or monthly basis certainly is great.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
I
Which
agree.
we try to reach out as well, but sometimes just when they touch base and hey, I just left an appointment. They said this, and this. It's super helpful and super beneficial as well.
I agree. Cool. Well, that wasn't so bad. Thank you very much.
No, that wasn't bad.
Yeah, it
Thank
wasn't
you.
bad at all. Well, is there anything you want to talk about? Any topics, llamas you want to discuss?
Oh,
No?
gosh. We all know how much I love llamas.
Yeah. Anything else any questions or things you want to discuss? No?
I don't think so. I mean,
You want to get off this podcast as soon as possible.
I was just told to come in here because I was dressed nice. So
That's a compliment. Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.